know it's bright, but it can't be helped. My face, not the light. Let's see if that, see that's, I can't do that. Can I do that? No, same thing, same difference. All right, we'll give it a minute for everybody to kind of filter in here. This was, once again, short notice, no notice, just had a minute, or I don't know, more of them. Ding. Drinking Synergy Raw Kombucha Guava Goddess. Oh yeah, if I just hold that there, then it makes everything else darker. Howdy everybody. We'll give some people a minute to filter in and let YouTube kind of put everything out there in YouTube land. Wow, this is bright. I can't do anything about this. It's either dark or... This is probably better though. I don't know. I could back up a little bit, but then the camera won't focus. So I don't know. Just a conundrum. So I haven't done anything as far as videos, live streams, or whatever for a little bit. We've been kind of busy. I mentioned that we redid our living room floor, and it turned out, yeah, a little mood lighting, little ginger lighting. Maybe if I back up, see this, I don't know about this camera, but king of the exotic drinks, yeah. This is better. This is better. More white, but less bright. Of course, I don't know if you can hear me all the way over there. Anyhow, yeah, I know it's been a while. So anyway, we've been busy. We kind of redid our living room. We took carpet up and we found the... You can hear me? Okay, cool. So we took up our carpet. See, now it's not going to focus. We don't need it to focus. Do we need it to focus? Do I want it to focus? I don't know. Be a good thing or a bad thing. Afternoon, it's 7:30. Anyhow, try a pillowcase over the lampshade. Well, the lamp's in a really bad spot is the problem. Let's either put the pillowcase over my face. So anyhow, we redid the living room, and we were planning on putting tile down. We found hardwood, and so you just can't see the comments. I can see the comments. This stuff's fantastic. There we go. It's 12:40 a.m. in England. That sounds fantastic. We found hardwood, and so we decided to just refinish the wood instead. And so that ended up being a little bit longer process than we thought it was going to be. Mostly because we've been out of town for the last couple weekends, where we had a couple of tournaments in Kansas City that James, Mr. Bullwith Drink It. Heck yeah. Mr. James Shimrecker Enterprises came in for Kansas City last weekend, and then this most recent weekend, we were in Wichita for the Southwest tournament. I was actually there the day that the 39-49 got shot by all those guys, and I have no idea what pattern they were bowling on because it wasn't the same one that I bowled on. Anyhow, but so the living room was kind of torn up. We were out of town, and so we couldn't do any of the rise and grinds. Obviously, there haven't been any balls come out to do a review for. I do have a couple of the global balls coming in as soon as the factory can catch up. I did just get a volatility torque here recently. I ordered a Zen, but there's hundreds and hundreds of them on back order there. I mean, that plant's going to have to do nothing but make Zens for like 2 solid weeks. LCDs run cooler. Yeah. Well, I'm in a hotel room, so I'm really just kind of working with what I got. So. I'm not sure those are LCDs. Oh yeah, they are. Interesting. Kind of wonder how you knew that just from the. Anyhow. So we're rescheduling the Rise and Grinds. We're going to do those on Sunday mornings now, and we will actually have one this Sunday morning with Jonathan again. He'll be back, and then the following weekend, James will be back. We might do that one on Friday, but this weekend it will be on Sunday morning-ish sometime, I think. So do you ever bowl the UBA events? No, we don't actually have the UBA in my neck of the woods. We were somebody was talking about it or said they were going to start kind of a UBA thing here, and then what really happened is the guy just got some information about what it would take and then did nothing. So we don't have any UBA stuff here. It would be really fun. I would actually own a team if we had something around here, but we don't, unfortunately. I think it would be really cool, but we already do have a pretty big tournament scene. Matter of fact, that's why James keeps flying back repeatedly, because the sweepers and the tournament stuff out here is really good. So, are really good. Oh, you can say it. 900 Gold went for being the brown-headed, and you can just say red-headed stepchild. Being the prom queen really quick. Yeah, they're the new stuff, and actually before they switched everything to the storm plant, they had the fluxes and the volts, and I mean they had a bunch of stuff that was really good there. And they started the Badgers out of the San Antonio plant. So it's just once they got to the Utah plant, then they have a couple of balls like the Volatility Torque and the Zen especially come out that look ridiculous. So they're just kind of building on the success that they started about a year ago. Yeah, the boost. Actually, the boosts were some of the best low end balls for the blue and black. When I sold a bunch of those when I was in the pro shop, that blue and black boost was heckin' ridiculousness. So anyway, so we had tournaments a weekend ago, or in Kansas City, and I do want to touch on something really quickly because we streamed the stepladder finals for that, and for some reason got a whole bunch of hate on it just instantly, and I have no idea why. Actually, I kind of do have an idea, but some people were, said we're unsubscribing, the content's terrible, get out of the kiddie pool and stop bowling these 150 average people. Well, what happened is that weekend, the pattern was supposed to be cheetah. Well, what happened is they didn't strip before they didn't strip the used youth league house shot before they put cheetah down. So they put cheetah down on top of a carried down youth league house shot. So the ball hit the end of the cheetah pattern and kind of wiggled and then straightened out on all the plastic ball carry down from the kiddos, and it made it really, really interesting. There was one scratch bowler that finished plus. And so normally in a situation like that, when you get really brutal conditions, and they're handicap sweepers, which is really funny because the scratch bowlers always complain about handicap, but there are no scratch events because scratch bowlers are pansies and won't bowl against other scratch bowlers below like a PBA level. So it's really interesting that, if the scratch bowlers, which there are plenty of, by the way, if they all would actually bowl each other, there would be a lot more scratch events, but they don't, so there's not. Fun fact. So anyway, what happens when you have a tougher shot is that a 150 average is going to shoot 150 on virtually everything because they're not good enough to take advantage of the soft stuff, but they're also not good enough for the lane conditions to really play too much into it. They're generally inconsistent. So the idea for them is just hit the head pin somewhere, get as many as they can, and then pick up some spares here and there. Well, it's a whole lot easier for a 150 average to shoot 150 than it is for a 220 average to shoot even 200 on this condition, which was crazy. It was absolutely insane. So what happened is we had, I actually bowled pretty well, but I was able to, my promotion in situations like that where there's over, under, and wet, dry, and who knows what, I was able to just keep it in play. I only get sick, I'm bowling off of my last lefty average, which was 212, so I get 6 sticks a game. And when you're in that situation, I haven't come close to sniffing a step ladder, let alone cashing in the first 9 events of the year, or the first 8, and going back to last year when I started it. Just not even cashing, let alone making a step ladder or any kind of bonus bowling. Because 6 sticks a game when you're bowling on tough stuff, you might as well not get anything. It really doesn't help. What's up, Brent? But what happened is I was actually able to keep it in play, and I shot 11. No, I almost shot 1,200 scratch because I was able to just kind of keep it in front of me, keep it in play, just kind of walk it down the side. Didn't really hook a whole lot, but I just kind of walked it right in. There wasn't, obviously I didn't have, once I figured out where that was a couple games into it, I was able to stay out of trouble, and then put a couple of 200, put a couple of solid 200 games together after that. Almost shot 1,200 for the 6 games, and I left 6 count on my last ball, and then I had to get into a roll-off, and I won the roll-off and to get into the 5 seed, and then I won my first match. But there was a lot of handicap bowlers. The first late A bowled, I think, average 160 or 170. The second guy I bowled averaged 180. I actually averaged 185. So I think he got the same amount of handicap as my wife did. Angel actually qualified first. And interestingly enough, we had just drilled her an IQ Tour Solid, which was the first one she'd ever had. And I think that they had a batch of those come out where they had it on like the 500 pads, and then they put the paint in the logos and then stuck it in the box. They forgot to stick it back on whatever finishing set of pads it was supposed to be on. So we have a bunch of color blotched 500 grit IQs, and I told her, I'm like, well, we'll just drill it, and it actually might work out really well at some tournament somewhere. I just throw it and it'll shine up in a few games. So what happened there is that with her speed and rev rate, and with all the plastic ball carry down from the youth league and whatever else, she had really good ball reaction. She shot almost scratch for the 6 games. Okay, hey Lennon. Yeah, people are always salty when I went. Yeah, the guy that won the tournament's in here, Mr. Lennon Brixey. But she had a really good look, and she led the tournament by quite a bit. But there was quite a bit of handicap in the stepladder, and I don't really care about that. I've been pretty outspoken about handicap, and I don't think it's a big deal at all. And actually, if scratch bowlers, once you actually do the math, I don't know, the math doesn't work out the way the scratch bowlers seem to think it does. So I just don't care. And Lennon beat me, and then he beat the next guy in the step ladder, and then he beat Angel to win the tournament. So congratulations to Lennon. Angel still finished second, which I think that's the first step ladder she's ever made there. Generally doesn't get close to cashing, so to have that all work out was pretty cool. And she thought, since we were both in the step ladder, that she would live stream it while we were bowling. And people get on there, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, this is terrible content, I'm unsubscribing, and you need to get out of the kiddie pool and stop bowling 150 averages, and that guy's right, this is terrible content. And it's like, well, I mean, if you actually pay any attention to anything else, or would stop and do a Google search, or look on Facebook, or check something out before you open your mouth, this tournament series in Kansas City features no less than 2 tournaments a month. They've been doing a lot more tournaments, because the more tournaments they do, the more people show up. They sell out tournaments all the time, and they can't put on enough tournaments, it doesn't seem like, to keep up with the demand for it. And so they run 24 to 30 tournaments a year, in addition to some other stuff too, in addition to the Kansas City Open in September, the Greater KC Open. And so these guys are doing, these guys and David Waswo from the Bowlers Show and his wife and their partner in crime, Mike Adamski, run these tournaments. And like I said, they're running tournaments nonstop. I mean, it's a full-time job for these guys running these tournaments. And if you look at the points list, so for being terrible content and kiddie pool and whatever else, if you look on the points list for last year, you will see Francois Lavoie, Brad Miller, Kyle Sherman, Packy Hanrahan, Mitch Hoope, probably Jacob Buttriff. I think he makes every once in a while. Zach Wilkins, Tom Hess, and a bunch of guys on the local regional level that Dylan Burns, that had kind of the unofficial 9-game scoring record until here recently. He shot 2470 at Holiday Doubles a couple of years ago, which for some reason was not sanctioned, but he averaged 275 for 9 games, so there's that. And some of the best bowlers that you just haven't heard of yet. So if there's regularly a handful of legitimate professional bowlers with PBA titles coming and bowling these things, it's definitely not the kiddie pool. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do short of joining the frickin' tour. So anyhow, I had to get that out of my system. And then we bowled Southwest this most recent weekend, so we were in Wichita all weekend, and we got to see those guys, or didn't get to see them, but heard about their big set. And then, of course, I got to bowl with Kevin Williams, another guy that's on the Kevin Williams, Casey Murphy. Saw those guys this weekend, among some other friends and people that, you know, we had, I don't know how many 300s and 8, and we had 2 800s in the group, I think, and 3 300s with the group that I went with. One guy shot 300, 205, 299 for 804, and the other guy had to strike on his last ball for 800 even in the same set. So, and we got to bowl pretty close to Packy, subbed with Trey Ford and Jimmy McMartin and all those guys that shot that ridiculous set. And so that was a lot of fun. But there hasn't been a whole lot going on as far as bowling ball stuff. People have been asking me about my sport essentials and trying to get something out as far as that goes. And I'm looking at doing an update to that sometime soon. But I am enjoying a little bit of downtime, just because we've been traveling a lot, and then we had the stuff we've been gone a lot of weekends here recently, and then redoing the living room, and of course I travel for work, so hence the on the road. I'm in a hotel room in Ottawa, Kansas right now, because we're kind of working in the area. By the way, if anybody's near Ottawa, Kansas, Fusion Alley down here is pretty new, and it's a really cool place. The restaurant's great. Really recommend the salmon. So but it's nice to kind of get out and bowl a little bit and be able to do some home projects and travel a little bit without having to worry about, you know, what video I'm going to do next, and answering questions all the time and whatever else. It's not saying it's a drag or anything. It's just a nice welcome change of pace to get to go out and bowl a little bit. I did okay in Wichita. There was something I was doing wrong mechanically that I didn't figure out until after I got back from the tournament, and the conditions required something that's not in play very often on the left side, which is getting into fourth arrow and slow rolling it. And if I would have just paid a little bit of attention to Kevin Williams and Packy Hanrahan and Anthony Nowak, that was part of that 39-49, and then Josh Imhoff. It's pretty good lefty too. And then Trevor Baumgartner is a friend of mine that's probably the best lefty that nobody's heard of. And I just didn't pay enough attention. And I thought, well, I just need to, I've figured out that I've got a soft enough hand and I'm pretty good playing the rail or just playing straight up. And that didn't work. I just thought I needed to throw it better. And there was some other, that caused me to do some other mechanical things stupidly. And until I finally kind of gave up the last 2 games of singles and shot 260, 250. So I should get a small check for a 720. But yeah, I mean, it sucks to shoot 520 the back too and for 720. But anyhow, and then we've got, let me see, this weekend's actually open. So we're gonna go have some fun on Saturday, and then we'll be back with Rise and Grinds on Sunday with Jonathan, which should be fun again. Like I said, we're gonna reschedule that so Jonathan, since he had to go back to work. So anyway, this is actually a good question. Haters gonna hate this. We've been struggling to get the handicap bowlers out to tournaments. Those of us in no man's land average have to recruit them like crazy, get beat down, and try to keep them coming back to handicap 1. And that's the problem. That's the thing that we've been running into on the Friday night sweeper stuff that we do. We run 2 little sweepers a month, first and third Friday of every month, and it's just 3 games of qualifying. Cut to a top 16 bracket. It's $40. It's just mainly for something else to do on a Friday night to come hang out and bowl. So it's just something a little bit extra so we're not trying to, it's not this big thing with some huge payout. It's just something extra fun to bowl. But obviously there's always going to be, in any handicap tournament, there's always going to be a couple of handicap bowlers that do well. There's going to be the same handicap discussion that there always is. The same people are going to complain, but they're going to keep coming back, and they don't seem to notice when the handicap bowler shoots a 105 in the championship match. It's like, well, he gets 30 sticks and he just shot 230. It's like, okay, well, that's nice. He also shot. we had this happen last Friday. The guy shot 2. He had the back 11. On a 180 average. This guy's been a 180 average for 25 years. He had the back 11 in the round of 8, and then he shot 150 in the semifinal and lost to somebody else with virtually the same, or he beat another person with virtually the same handicap that had a slightly worse game, and then he gets into the championship match and shoots 105. You want to talk about a gift? And where was everybody complaining about handicap then? It's like, yes, it sucks when it happens to you, but stuff can flip-flop and go up and down and back and forth all the time. So, I mean, do you want a tournament to bowl or not? If okay, well, there needs to be a handicap cap, or there needs to be scratch or whatever else. Okay, well, there's going to be exactly 11 people that show up, and then you're not going to have a tournament. So, I don't know. What pro shop course would you recommend, if any, or would an apprenticeship be better? Apprenticeship is going to be hit and miss because, honestly, there's a lot of bad pro shop operators out there. A lot of people that do it for a hobby or just something that they want to do, or something that they want to do after they retire and whatever else, and they aren't really that good at it. So the best pro shop course by far is Jayhawk's Pro Shop Training in Lawrence, Kansas. I can't remember how much it is, but it's a 3-ish day course, and Russ Wilson and Alex Hardman, I think Nathan Hardman teaches a little bit too, but Russ Wilson and Alex Hardman are a couple of the best out there, period. So you definitely want to get in touch with them if you're interested in pro shop courses and stuff like that. Jayhawk Bowling Supply in Lawrence, Kansas is there's some information on their website, but just calling them and talking to Russ, Alex, or Nathan in the pro shop division, they'd be able to set you up with that. And I think that would by far be the best place to go do that. So. But anyhow, What else you got? Yep. I use the Omega Crux. Is the Rubicon UC2 a good step down? Yes and no. Yes, because it doesn't hook nearly as much, but no, because it could appear to hook way more depending on the conditions you're on. Because the UC2 actually hooks quite a bit less than the Omega does, but it shapes, it back ends quite a bit more than the Omega does. So depending on how you interpret hook, the UC2 could be a step down or it could be like 3 steps up. So it really depends on what you want and what you need. But let me see. So like I said, I got a volatility torque and then I got a Zen on the way whenever those actually get back into production. We've been seeing the Zens everywhere, and it's not just on TV. I go places and I see all of our staffers throwing them. The High Road Max has been really popular too. I've seen a lot of people. There was four of them out of 10 bowlers on our pair, and those guys used them virtually the entire weekend. So what's the MI? Doing a heck in confusion. What's the thinking when you retire a ball from your bag? Normally it's something else that beats it out. So I think that something that you don't really find yourself pulling out of the bag much anymore. So normally I take 6 balls to league, and if one just does not make it out of the bag anymore, then it's either it's time to give something else a chance, or some other ball, some newer ball that you got might just knock it out. Like I used to carry the phase 2 and phase 3 around everywhere, but once I got the Idle Synergy and the Rubicon and the UC2, I found out that I found myself using all of those quite a bit more than the phase 2 and the phase 3. So it's not a matter of that I just wasn't using them much. It's just other balls kind of beat them out. So I think it's just part of it is paying attention to your use. I know, like James keeps a record of how many games, so he keeps a spreadsheet, and he knows how much he throws everything. And so if he's like, okay, well, I've been taking this ball to league for months, but it never makes it out of the bag, or I've only got 3 games on it in the last 2 months, why am I even carrying it around anymore? It's a safety blanket thing, but if I'm not going to use it, then what's the point? So now there are a couple that I don't use. I don't use my Tornado Pearl very much anymore, but it's definitely got a place in there. I don't use my Promotion a whole lot, but obviously my tournament on the Sheeta, which was the Shark Cheetah, what we called it, the Chameleon. Nobody could figure out. I mean, it was just weird. But the Promotion ended up working out very well because it's kind of like urethane without really being urethane. The reactive stuff was too jumpy and all over the place because, like I said, when you have one pattern laid down on top of another pattern that's already been bowled on, and these patterns are completely different, things got weird, and the Promotion just kind of blended everything out, and I found myself somehow in the stepladder. So yeah, I used a 500 grit Promotion at the start of the block. Angel used a 500 grit IQ Tour. Just want to say hi. I've not been able to catch a live in forever here in California. I've not bowled in forever, not been able to get my wild streak drilled up yet. That's kind of crazy that you haven't bowled. I mean, the places are still not open in California yet. That's crazy. Because we've been bowling again, I mean, in limited fashion, but bowling opened back up in like May or June last year. And it was, again, super limited fashion. There was some crazy things we had to do with our leagues to get those in. But here recently, they relaxed the rules again. And so now we don't have to, we can have more people in the building. And so as long as we wear our masks, we can bowl. So anyway, I haven't drilled up a ball for a while. We've been kind of collecting a bunch of stuff here recently. I did just get a case of cherry phase 2s in, by the way. So this most recent run of phase 2s is cherry scented, which is really cool, kind of rare and unique. And they have done a batch of cherry ones before. And so that's kind of cool to have some of those. I've been collecting some of the old 900 global balls. I got a couple of, we got a couple of Volt solids. My wife just got me a Volt Pearl. She found a white hot badger. I've got a pink badger. Got a Flux and a Flux Pearl, the two orange ones that Sean Rash throws all the time. And so I got one of the phase flows too. That's going to be really cool. That's a pretty unique color scheme. And so that one's going to be fun. But I haven't really wanted to drill anything in a while because I've got plenty of stuff that works great for me right now. I really love the Rubicon UC2 right now. It's actually kind of overtaken the Synergy as my league ball on Thursday nights. And then I kind of throw whatever I have to throw on Friday nights at Westridge. I've been trying the Insight, but it's waking up a little bit. The more I throw it, the more I think I need to do another review for it, because it's quite a bit more angular now than it was out of the box. And I'm actually having trouble getting it through the pins the right way. I keep leaving drive-by eights with it, just ridiculous, endless drive-by eights. And the problem with it is that it's not as sharp as the UC2 is, but it starts up earlier. And so the UC2 gets further down the lane. And so when it does what it does, it's a whole lot easier to keep the motion going into the pocket kind of the right way, or getting it going through the pins the right way. But when the Insight starts up a couple feet earlier and then has gotten fairly sharp, it gets through the pins a little quick and a little high. So I've been trying to use that, but I've been finding out that the UC2 has just looked good on everything, everywhere, whatever else. I didn't pull down in Southwest. I bowled 2 team squads 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then we bowled 2 more team squads and doubles and singles this weekend. I never pulled the UC2 out until I kind of gave up and thought, you know what, all the other lefties are hooking it from 4th arrow. That's not really my game, but I'm not doing that great right now, so I might as well give it a shot. And then I shoot 260, 250. So, but I mean, the UC2 is just coming into play on everything, and for some reason it's that ball that's like, well, stuff's not really going that well, let's go grab the UC2, and then all of a sudden the scores go through the roof. So I've been using that a lot more than anything else recently, but I've actually been using the Rubicon a little bit more when I want. If the UC2 is a little, I actually pulled that out of the bag last Thursday and shot 240 with it the last game after I was down by, I was down by 60 after the first game, and I ended up down by like 70 or 80. No, I think it was 70 going in the last game, and I actually won my last point and series with the Rubicon the last game, because it was just, the UC2 was a little quick. So the Rubicon and UC2 have been a really nice 1-2 punch, and then the Torino Pearl comes out every once in a while. The Promotion is the ultimate bailout ball, and my regular IQ Tour I use for 7 pins most of the time, and just a lot of my spares, but it comes into play a whole lot more than I kind of expected to also. My friend had 4 solid 8s in one game with a purple hammer. He's a lefty. I'm telling you, we got all kinds of back end over there. Is High Road Pearl in danger of ever being discontinued, or will it exist forever like the OG? High Road Pearl is a little bit of a conundrum because it's good, and I think it actually, people use the High Road Pearl more than they actually use the High Road. But the High Road's kind of the goat, so to speak. But the High Road Pearl is the one that seems like it's kind of High Road Junior or taking a back seat or something like that. But most of the time when people are in a High Road type of situation, they're throwing the Pearl. You don't hardly ever see the High Road on TV anymore. When you do see a High Road, it's a High Road Pearl. So drill up the Volt Pearl, you won't regret it. Yeah, There's 20 balls in the line that I really want to drill up, but it's hard to justify right now, and my ball reaction is just fine. I have nothing to complain about, and there's still a bunch of stuff that I don't get to throw right now. So why if the Alpha Crux is so good, is there not a re-release of the Alpha Crux? The Rubicon is basically an Alpha Crux, and the Omega is not too far off either. If they re-release, they don't really like doing that because that's kind of, it's not exactly like keeping something like a High Road or an IQ Tour around. It's kind of like almost half admitting it's like, well, we can't make anything as good or better than it, so we're just gonna put it back out again. I'm not entirely sure why they don't want to do the Alpha Crux again, because it obviously would sell a bunch, but there's a weird balance in between doing something like that, because everybody wanted the Marble Pearl back too, and when they re-released the Marble Pearl, it's like, oh my god, it's back. Sales went crazy for like 2 months, and then everybody forgot about it, and distributors were still trying to get rid of them 2 years later. So it's just one of those really weird things. The IQ Emerald's already gone too, and people, we want the Tour Nano, we want the Tour Pearl back. We want the Tour Pearl back. And then, you know, the Emerald comes out, and, you know, people are going to say, if it comes back out, they're going, well, it's not exactly like the original Alpha Crux. This one's a little bit different, or this one's a little bit that, or they didn't, this is a little bit different, or that's a little bit different, or you got the hipsters that try to say that something like, oh, the 2016 Alpha Cruxes are so much better than the 2020s, and they'll be so much more valuable, whatever else. And, you know, the pros will tell you that 2 balls from the same batch don't even feel the same, depending on, you know, at what point they were finished in the, you know, in the sanding process. Were they finished with new pads, or some use pads, or pads that are almost getting ready to be changed, or whatever else? But you get, you know, you're going to get some, with as many variables as there are in bowling, you're going to get something that's close enough. And I think that the Rubicon is kind of that ball. Once you get 30, 40 games on it, I can't really tell a difference. So, and you see people using them all the time. Pros are using kind of the old faithfuls less and less. You used to see a lot of Alpha Cruxes, a lot of Idols, a lot of whatever else. Now you're seeing a lot of Rubicons, a lot of UC2s, a lot of Axioms. The pros are kind of adopting the newer stuff, because I think a lot of the stuff that has come out now is legitimately, honestly, better than some of the older stuff that's being discontinued. I think that the UC2 is a better astrophysics, but, you know, at the same time, if a reaction's good, a reaction's good, and so better is kind of relative. So I kind of hesitate to say, well, this is better than that other, because the Astro is really good, and for some people, the Astro is the ball, and the UC2 is just too flippy. So again, better is completely relative to the situation that you're in, and the ball reaction that you get, and what you like to see. So that's why some people will have an IQ Tour in the same bag as something brand new. So it just all depends on what looks good. What's up, buddy? Yeah. What are your thoughts on the High Road Max? Has it improved in any way since your last video? I do not have my High Road Max anymore. I don't really think it was the greatest look for me, and it wasn't. The layout choice was definitely not great. Now, I've seen all kinds of other people throwing the Max all over the place, and it looks great for them. They've all been pin up though, so mine was pin in the ring finger, and so I think that was a bad choice. I like that layout with my Idle Synergy and with my Phase 2, but with the High Road having a lot weaker core, that, you know, moving my fingers even just that much further up is going to increase the RG and decrease the differential, if even ever so slightly. But when you already have a high RG and a cover that's that strong, you kind of need the core dynamics to match up to the cover strength a little bit better. And so I drilled it a little bit too weak, and I don't know. it looks great for a bunch of other people. Angel uses it a lot, and I saw all kinds of them this weekend. And Chris Vi made a show with one and made it look pretty good on the show. So I think maybe if I used it more, but it's hard to force certain balls into the lineup when everything else is working so good. Like, I can't even imagine what I would take out if I'm going to drill the volatility torque and the Zen as soon as I get the Zen, but I'm going to drill those two, but I have no idea what I'm going to take out of the bag, because I'm not taking any of my IQ Tour, the Nano Pearl, or the ProMotion out of that bag, and I'm taking the Rubicon and the UC2 everywhere and just kind of rotating like Insight, Synergy, whatever else out of that bag. I'm just not going to take anything out. So yeah, I'm going to end up taking 3 bags to league, which is ridiculous. So I'm definitely not doing that. I have some friends that say the Axiom is more versatile in the Phase 2 on sport, and some say the opposite. What do you think? I think the Axiom is more versatile than the Phase 2 because that NEX cover it's really the real deal. It still does what what NRG did, which was blend out the lane really well, but it has more punch on the back end. It doesn't burn energy on friction. The Phase 2 can get a little slow from angle, and NEX just doesn't. That's the big benefit of NEX over NRG or a whole bunch of other cover stocks, is it doesn't burn energy on friction, and it will get you back to the pocket with more punch and with more authority from deeper angles than definitely any other strong cover ball will. And that's really the thing, is that when you're on these longer or heavier patterns and you still need the teeth from a ball to dig through the oil, but also the shape to get it to hit when it gets there, because heavy oil balls are not designed to cover boards. They're designed to get through the oil and kind of blend things and manage the lane conditions. But when you start getting into a bunch of transition and you have to get deep, the Phase 2 can get really slow down lane from bigger angles. The idle can get really slow down lane from bigger angles. All this other big stuff gets a little too slow and wiggly from the bigger angles, but the Axiom Proton Physics and the Max with that NEX solid cover, they will get back from those angles because they have both the teeth and the shape. So I think there is an actual advantage, or there is an actual improvement in that technology. It's not different or revolutionary necessarily, but it is an improvement. So, marketing is always going to say it's the newest and bestest thing, and it represents a huge leap forward, and it isn't, but it is at the same time, because sometimes those small little differences can be that final little piece of the puzzle to put some stuff together. So that's why you see a lot more of the pros throwing these NEX, specifically the Axiom and now the High Road Max. Well, then you take something like a Rubicon and a UC2 that, the Rubicon and the UC2 have medium strength covers on them, but they're pretty dynamic on the lane. And so once the front, it's a kind of an opposite idea of NEX, where once the lanes start to dry up and you have plenty of friction to work with, those balls, because of the medium strength covers, will still get you down the lane, but they've got a whole bunch of torque to get back on the back end. And I just think that the slight strength increase of that E-Trax cover over even R2S is something that helps with that ball motion on the back end. There's just a little bit more strength with the same kind of general all-purpose versatility of the R2S cover. I think that their new E-Trax formulation that's on the center, that's on the Rubicon, it's on the Synergy, that's on the UC2, is kind of the perfect best of all worlds, where it still gets you down the lane, but it's got a little bit more traction than R2S and even a little bit more pop. So they are, I would say, small improvements, but they're very precise improvements. They specifically targeted something that's like, well, we need this idea, but we need it to be a little bit better in these situations. And they played with it and they tinkered with it and they really got it right. So that's why I think that you are seeing all of this stuff all over the place. It's not just playing Mr. Potato Head again, or, you know, trying to, I mean, the marketing's still going to say everything's brand new and revolutionary and whatever else, but they took something that was very good and they tuned it for a very specific reason, a very specific purpose. So that's why I think that you're seeing Rubicons and Axioms, and you're going to start seeing more high road maxes now too, because it's that same type of idea as the Axiom, but that will help get a little bit more push down the lane. So I think that you're going to see the higher rev bowlers that really roll the ball. I don't think you're going to see somebody like Kyle Troop throwing a high road max very often, because he's got pretty firm speed, but somebody that likes to slow loop it, I think you're going to see Brad Miller next time he's on TV. He might be throwing one. Chris Vi really leaned into his on that show that he made here recently. So you're going to start seeing a bunch of this stuff, and I have no idea what's coming next. There's got to be something coming here pretty soon, because the HP2 line's been empty for like a month and a half now since they discontinued the Attitude. So there's nothing in the HP2 line. They also discontinued the ink. Idle Pearl's gone. But again, there's the stuff that's there is so freaking good, and they can't keep stuff in stock the way it is now. So I don't understand. I don't know why they would release anything right now, but they're on paper there's a need, but on the lane there's not. So that's why I only take 3 balls to league. I know what I'm getting every week. If it's not working with 3 balls, it's a me problem. Exactly. So the only reason that I take more balls than 3 to the lanes is just because I want to have them there. I don't, realistically, on my Thursday night league, if I would take my IQ Tour, my UC2, and even the Rubicon right now, because the UC2 has kind of been outclassing the Synergy. So if I took those 3, I'd be fine. And my other league, if I took the same 3, honestly, I'd be fine. There's no use to have the other ones there. So it's just one of those things. It's a really good problem to have, but I would really like to have a Zen too, and those are back ordered. There was somebody that said that Classic in Texas is out of them, and Classic's probably the biggest distributor in the country. And if nobody else has something, Classic has it. They don't run their stock lower. Some places it's like, well, some places it's a gamble, and with the bowling industry, you never really know what the next big ball is going to be. And so if you order 200 of something and it doesn't end up selling, and you're stuck with 150 of them in the warehouse, that's a problem. That's a problem from numerous different angles. But Classic is big enough to where they can kind of absorb some of that, and they make sure that they have everything in stock. They had no Zens. And apparently they have like a couple hundred on order, and it keeps, because they've been on TV all the time, and every time you go to a tournament, there's Zens everywhere. Besides just being one of the best looking balls out there, definitely the best looking ball that's been released since the Phase 3, and they're really, really good. So, I mean, that's why I'm still waiting on a Zen, because the factory doesn't have any. So the best way to restore out-of-box finish for 1500 grit polish, the best way that I have found is to use a fresh 1000 pad on a spinner with water, and then put Powerhouse factory finish polish on top of it. Not a very heavy. Now, what I actually like to, the best thing that I like to do is go 1000, 3000, and then let it lane shine. Or the other good thing that I've recently been using the absolute heck out of is React-A-Scuff. just use React to Scuff because it scuffs the ball back up to about 3,000 grit, and it gives it a really deep clean. And then once you let that lane shine back up, perfect reaction. But if you're trying to replicate the out-of-box factory finish, take the ball to 1,000. And this is something that James agrees with, Shimwrecker Enterprises agrees with me on as well. Take it to 1,000 and then use kind of light use of the Powerhouse factory finish polish on it, and that'll get you very, very close, or as close as you're going to get to the factory finish polish. So trying to sort out my junior gold arsenal. Between the two of those, the more so bench make piece in the bag. With that being said, would you recommend for a 5-ball arsenal? That's so it. I use a strategy for nationals, and it depends on if you're flying or driving to junior gold. But for nationals, and it depends on the rules. I'm not really familiar with junior gold rules, so I don't know if you have to check in like 8 balls and use them for every, only use those 8 balls for every event, or if you can check in a couple balls per event. What I will do is for nationals, you can only have 8. You can only take 8 balls into any national set. So you can have 8 balls for team. You can have 8 balls for singles and doubles. They don't have to be the same 8 balls though. You can only carry 8 balls in with you. Whether you can have 8 into team, and you can take a completely different 8 into singles and doubles. It's just 8 period. So I will take a few extra balls, stuff that I know that I'm not going to use for, stuff like a proton physics or like an RSTX1 that I would use for doubles and singles. 0 chance they'll see the lane in team. For team, I'm going to have fast pitch, pitch black, IQ Tour, IQ Tornado Pearl, and the promotion. And if I get outside of any of those, I'm not having a good day. So realistically, I only need to take 5 into the team set. Now, when we go to singles and doubles, it's a longer, heavier pattern. So I will probably take something like my Rubicon and the UC2, maybe depending on how things sort out. I'll probably have the Rubicon and the UC2 in there. Maybe the Proton. Oh man, it's almost time to go to bed. I like nap time. What I also like is WandaVision, and I need to finish WandaVision here before the Mighty Ducks series comes out on Thursday or Friday, or whenever that's supposed to come out. So there's that. But for singles and doubles, I will take most likely very different stuff than what I have for teams. So if you can do that for junior gold, if you can take different balls, and if you're driving and can bring like 15 with you and check in 6 for the long pattern and 6 different ones for the medium pattern, and then kind of mix those up for the short pattern, then so more so rev dominated righty, if that helps. You would probably use a phase 2 a little bit more than an Axiom, actually, because the phase 2 is a little bit smoother, a little bit more controllable. The Axiom is actually really good even on tougher stuff with polish on it, because that cover's so strong. It can be a little bit too strong. Okay, so you have to use the same 5 throughout all 3. So that's the tricky point. That's the problem there. But I think that of the 2, the Axiom is more versatile. You would probably use the Axiom on the medium and the long pattern. So spot on about the Rubicon. I like mine with a little lane shine. Yeah, with a little bit of lane shine on the Rubicon, and you can always sand it back up if you need to. So will streaming bowling do more live streams that you know of? Any chance you'll do more streams of your tournaments? The streams of my tournaments probably will not happen because we don't have unlimited data on our phones, and I'm not going to try to set all that nonsense up in the bowling, the regular streaming stuff up in the bowling center, because that's way too much overkill. Plus, bowling alley Wi-Fi is always terrible. And so I'm done setting up streams just for people to complain about them, basically. So sorry. At streaming bowling, he's a little, he's being very, what's the word? cautious with the virus thing. So he's got some family members that are higher risk. So he's trying to be as careful as he can. So he's not going to be out doing a whole lot of anything. He actually hasn't bowled league. He hasn't even been out to sub, or not sub, but to make up anything. He just flat stopped bowling. So he's being really cautious with that. Yeah, James will do them. He has unlimited data on his phone, and so yeah, he'll normally do the tournaments when he's here, and so that's part of why I'm not doing them, because he usually does them when he's here. So it's a little bit too much to put up and take care of, and so we've kind of been around the barn with that whole idea. So yeah. Anyhow. Oh yeah, Jonathan streams some when he can too. So yeah, that takes all the work off of me, so I can just be the comic relief. Anyhow, I think I'm going to go on ahead and sign off. We work 10-hour days out here in the field, which most of the time in Kansas is an actual field with cows and everything. So we work 10-hour days, and we don't actually stop. So we leave the hotel at 7 and we work until about 5 or 5:30. The only times we don't take a lunch, which we should take a lunch. We're supposed to take a lunch, but there's a lot of places out in western Kansas where there's just no place to eat. We're out in the literal sticks and fields and everything else, and there's just no place to eat. And so we just kind of got used to stopping into Casey's here and there. The guy that I work with drinks a lot of coffee, and so we'll stop for coffee every couple hours and get like a bag of almonds or something, and just kind of little snacky stuff throughout the day. So we don't actually stop to eat. So we work from 7 until 5 or 5:30 or whenever we find a good stopping point. And so we're just out there in and out of the truck most of the time, driving 200 or 300 miles a day and climbing over all over all kinds of bridges and dodging animals and whatever else. Yeah, Kansas doesn't really have enough hills to need bridges. It's more the little tributaries, and we actually do have water. We actually do have water. So yeah, not a problem, Troy. I know things have slowed down a little bit here, but I don't want to pump out videos just to pump out videos. And there for a little while, I was trying to do stuff to grow the channel and to get better numbers for whatever reason. But I want to do stuff that actually kind of makes a difference and matters. And this is kind of my thing anyway. I'm very into marketing and what makes people tick and whatever else, but I'm a pro shop guy, and so the little guy kind of gets marginalized throughout everything. And even when it comes to my channel and the stuff like that, if you're not Belmo, nobody cares. So I care, and I want to care, and this obviously isn't exciting as watching a new ball video or anything, and it doesn't get near as many views, but I think it's more important. So yeah, I appreciate you watching this. I mean, you gotta have your sunglasses on. I almost have to have my sunglasses on for the reflection off the freaking screen that I'm looking at here. So yeah, not a problem either, Scott. We're going to be going live bowling next time, 2 weeks. We have 2 Easter tournaments, and James is going to be here again. And so we'll have the Easter doubles, which I'm bowling with James at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence on Saturday the 2nd, I believe, whatever that first weekend of April is, whatever Easter weekend is. The Saturday we're bowling doubles, which is 8 games, and then Sunday is the singles tournament where we're bowling another 8 games. So James will have those streams on. But yes, if you want to subscribe to Shimwrecker Enterprises and to Jonathan Hawes' channel, he's got some stuff up every once in a while. And most of the time, if they're streaming a bowling tournament, I will be there bowling too. So if you want to see me, cool, but you'll get to see several other good bowlers at the same time. Maybe might even, there's frequently Riley Patton sightings too. He's the two-handed righty on the Bowling Fix videos. So you worry about the camera more than we do. Yeah, well, it's bright. It's very bright. So anyhow, yep, we'll see you later, Brent. We'll see you at the next something, which is, yeah, well, we have a yes, we don't have a shootout next weekend, but we'll have one, I think April 1st, April Fool's Day is something. So look at the calendar here. No, April 2nd. April 2nd will be the next shootout. So yeah, and then April 3rd and 4th are the Easter tournaments. So have a lot of stuff going there. So I will be signing off right now. We've kind of gotten through everything and talked about a few things, and this was fun to catch up. And like I said, we don't do a whole lot in the hotel room at night. So, or yeah, we each got our own room. So most of the time we go out and get something to eat and something to drink, and then we come back to the hotel and fall asleep. So I will be finishing up WandaVision because I think I only have an episode and a half left. I think there's only one. I got to finish the one that I'm on, and then I have another episode, and then the new Mighty Duck series comes out Thursday or Friday. And then I need to see if there's another episode of Prodigal Son up yet, because I really enjoy watching that one. Plus, I haven't seen Mission Impossible Fallout in a while. They had all those on Hulu, and so I've kind of gone through and watched all the Mission Impossible movies again here recently. So, yeah, April Fools say you're putting down carbon, but yeah, people would complain, but everybody always complains. So, yep. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to you next time, which will be Sunday. Rise and Grinds on Sunday with me and Jonathan. I might do another one of these tomorrow or Wednesday night, depending on if I have anything to talk about. So we will see. But yeah, thanks, everybody. And it's fun to just hang out and chat and answer some questions and whatever else. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. I've got to see what happens on WandaVision. If you haven't seen WandaVision, you have to. You just have to. That's all. If you're a Marvel fan, you can't miss it. That's all I got to say. See y'all later.